Marcus Chen hadn't slept in 36 hours. His daughter Emma's fever had spiked to 103 degrees the night before, and between cooling her forehead with damp cloths and whispering reassurances through her fevered dreams, sleep had been impossible. Now, at 4:47 a.m., he stood in the marble lobby of Titanium Financial headquarters with a mop bucket, eyes burning, heart aching, knowing that missing this shift meant missing the rent payment. Again, the building was silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the soft swish of his mop across floors that reflected the city's pre-dawn darkness. This was his sanctuary, these empty hours when no one saw him, no one judged him, no one knew that the man cleaning their toilets had once been an architect with dreams as tall as these skyscrapers. But Emma came first. Emma always came first. And so Marcus Chen mopped floors and swallowed his pride and told himself that love sometimes looks like midnight shifts and calloused hands and doing whatever it takes. He was supposed to be gone by 6. The executive floor was always supposed to be empty when he cleaned it, a ghost passing through the lives of people who earned more in a day than he made in a year. But this morning was different. As Marcus pushed his cart toward the boardroom on the 42nd floor, he heard voices. Angry voices. Desperate voices. The kind of voices that came when everything was falling apart. He should have turned around. Should have come back later. But the boardroom's trash bins were overflowing from yesterday's marathon session, and his supervisor had been clear that another complaint meant termination. So Marcus did what invisible people do. He knocked softly, opened the door slowly, and tried to disappear into the background. The scene before him was chaos wrapped in $1,000 suits. Papers scattered across the mahogany table. Half-empty coffee cups leaving rings on documents marked, confidential. And at the head of the table sat Victoria Ashford, CEO of Titanium Financial, her usually perfect composure cracked like fine china. Around her, board members shouted over each other, phones buzzed incessantly, and the air felt thick with the kind of panic that comes when billions of dollars hang in the balance. Marcus kept his head down, emptying trash bins, wiping surfaces, trying to be invisible. But he couldn't help overhearing. Couldn't help understanding. The merger with Dynasty Holdings, a $10 billion deal that would create the 5th largest financial institution in the country, was imploding. Not over finances or market strategy, but over something far more human. Dynasty's chairman, Robert Huang, had walked away from negotiations an hour ago, and no one knew why. "He won't return my calls," Victoria said, her voice raw with exhaustion. 18 months of work, and he just left. Said we weren't the kind of people he wanted to do business with. "It's because of the Reynolds incident," one board member said. "The lawsuit settlement. He thinks we lack integrity." "That was business," another snapped. "Reynolds signed the contract. If he didn't read the fine print. It doesn't matter what the fine print said." Victoria slammed her hand on the table. "Robert built his company on trust. On relationships. And somehow, we failed that test." Marcus continued cleaning, moving around the room like a shadow. He understood more than they knew. He'd been there 6 months ago when junior executive James Reynolds had been escorted out of the building in tears. 20 years of pension vanished through a contractual loophole. Marcus had found him in the parking garage afterward, sitting in his car, staring at nothing. Had stayed with him until his wife came. Had shared his lunch because Reynolds was too shattered to remember he needed to eat. The boardroom conversation continued spiraling, theories and accusations flying back and forth. Marcus finished the trash, moved to wipe down the windows overlooking the city as dawn began painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. "We need leverage," someone suggested. "Find something on Huang, something we can." "Absolutely not," Victoria interrupted. "I won't win this through blackmail." "Then we've lost," the CFO said flatly. "Huang's already in talks with Meridian. By Monday, they'll announce a competing deal, and we'll be yesterday's news." The room fell silent. Marcus glanced over and saw Victoria staring out the window he'd just cleaned, her reflection showing something he recognized, the face of someone carrying weight too heavy for one person to bear. He should have left. Should have kept his mouth shut. Should have remembered his place. But Marcus thought of Emma, of the hospital bill still sitting unpaid on his kitchen counter, of the way she'd asked him last week why he always looked so sad. And he thought of James Reynolds, and how sometimes the right thing and the business thing aren't the same thing. "Excuse me," Marcus heard himself say. His voice seemed to come from far away. "I know why Mr. Huang left. The room froze. 12 sets of eyes turned to look at him, really look at him, perhaps for the first time. Victoria's gaze found his, and he saw something flicker there, surprise, hope, desperation. "What did you say?" she asked quietly. Marcus's hands tightened on his mop handle. 3 weeks ago, I was cleaning Mr. Huang's office after a late meeting. He was still here, working. He asked me about my daughter. He'd seen her picture when I was changing my phone screen. I told him about Emma, about her medical bills. He asked if my employer offered good benefits. Marcus paused, remembering. I told him the truth. That jobs like mine don't come with benefits. That I was choosing between Emma's antibiotics and our electric bill. He got very quiet. Then he asked me if this company took care of its people. And I didn't know what to say. The silence in the room was absolute. He saw the James Reynolds settlement in the news, Marcus continued. A man who gave this company 20 years, gone with nothing. Mr. Huang isn't just looking at profit margins and market strategy. He's looking at who you are. And the sentence he's waiting to hear isn't about money. It's about whether you actually care about people like me and James. Victoria stood slowly. Her face had gone pale. You're saying he walked away because of how we treat our employees? I'm saying he walked away because he already knows how you treat them, Marcus said softly. He's waiting to see if you'll change. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Victoria walked around the table until she stood directly in front of Marcus. Up close, he could see the lines of exhaustion around her eyes, the weight of responsibility she carried. What's your name? She asked. Marcus Chen, ma'am. How long have you worked here, Marcus? 18 months. And in 18 months, no one in this room has ever asked your name, have they? It wasn't really a question. Victoria turned to face her board. How many of us know the names of the people who clean our offices? Who serve our coffee? Who keep this building running while we chase deals and count zeros? She looked back at Marcus. What would you do, Marcus? If you were me? Marcus thought of Emma, of all the single parents working 3 jobs, of every person grinding through night shifts and swallowing pride to keep food on the table. I'd make it right with James Reynolds. I'd fix the benefits for people like me. And then I'd call Mr. Huang and tell him you're not perfect, but you're trying to be better. Victoria's eyes were bright. Call Reynolds, she said to her assistant. Tell him I want to meet this morning. Alone. No lawyers. She turned to her CFO. I want a full benefits package proposal for every employee in this building, contractors, part-timers, everyone, on my desk by noon. Then to Marcus, and I want you to take the rest of the day off. Paid. Go take care of your daughter. Ma'am, that's not a request, Marcus. It's an order from someone who should have given it months ago. 3 days later, Marcus was mopping the same lobby when his supervisor approached looking nervous. Mr. Chen. Ms. Ashford wants to see you in her office. Marcus's stomach dropped. He'd violated a dozen unspoken rules by speaking in that boardroom. This was it. Termination. Victoria's office occupied the entire northwest corner of the 43rd floor. When Marcus entered, she was on the phone, but she gestured for him to sit. He perched awkwardly on the edge of a chair that probably cost more than his car. She hung up and smiled. That was Robert Huang. The merger's back on. He wanted me to thank you personally. Marcus didn't know what to say. James Reynolds got his pension back, plus interest, Victoria continued. We're implementing the new benefits package company-wide starting next month. Full healthcare, childcare assistance, education benefits. And Marcus, she slid a folder across the desk. I did some research. You were an architect before Emma was born. You gave it up to be there for her. That's admirable. But you shouldn't have to choose between being a father and using your talents. Marcus opened the folder. Inside was a job offer for the facilities planning department. Salary, benefits, flexible hours. Enough to give Emma the life he'd dreamed of. Why? He whispered. Because you reminded me why we're really here, Victoria said. Not to make billions. To make a difference. And sometimes the most important difference starts with seeing the people right in front of us. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same boardroom, this time as part of the sustainability design team presenting plans for the company's new green headquarters. As he set up his presentation, he noticed the nameplate beside the door, newly installed, the Marcus Chen Boardroom, where every voice matters. He thought of Emma, healthy and thriving in a school they could finally afford. He thought of the other contract workers who'd gotten benefits, opportunities, dignity. And he thought of that dawn morning when one sentence had changed everything. Sometimes the biggest mergers aren't about money. Sometimes they're about merging our ambitions with our humanity, our success with our compassion. Sometimes they're about remembering that every person, regardless of their title or position, has the power to change the world. All it takes is the courage to speak up, and someone willing to listen.